So welcome back, and today, as I posted out, if any of you tracking me on Facebook, we're going to get on and change the brake fluid in the KTM. It's a bit filthy, well, that's a bit of an understatement. So you can see it's pretty crappy looking. So we're going to do that. We're going to do the front and the rear. So we'll start that in a minute. Was delayed slightly. I wanted to get this done about 20 minutes ago, but I broke my GoPro mount tripod, so I've just had to knock up one of those. Luckily I had the correct pin for a tripod, so yeah, so we'll see how that goes as well. So first job, we need to remove the mudguard just to give us a bit more space into the calipers, just that general working area. There's nothing worse than having a struggle. So for that, we just need a T30 torque, and then it's just the 4 bolts by the looks of it. So we'll get that whipped off, and then we can crack on with the brakes. Okay, so just give everything a quick wipe off, and just having a look now at what we actually need to do. So ideally what we're going to do is remove the pads and have a good look over the pads. Do that by removing these 2 pins, but first of all what we need to do is take the pressure off the brake caliper itself. So what we'll do is we will use the bleed nipple. Bring up the rubber cover off, put that safe. We'll crack the bleed nipple, put some pipe on it, feed it into this jar down here, and then because the bike has ABS, it's never good to force fluid back through the system like it used to do in the old days. It's always better to bleed through, so we use a bleed nipple, then loosen that off and push any dirty brake fluid out of the calipers into the jar. That allows us to remove the pads, give everything a good wipe off, and then when we bleed it through, at least we know we've got all the dirty brake fluid out of there. Obviously when we re-bleed it's going to push more through, but there you go, such is the nature. So yeah, let me get the camera set up and then we'll take these pads out. Okay, so what I've done so far, put a pipe on there, over the top of the bleed nipple, 8mm spanner, crack the bleed nipple. You can just see the brake fluid now starting to seep out. Just wrap some tissue around there because I always get a bit twitchy, and then pop this cover off the back of the brakes, which I've given a spray with brake cleaner. I'll get another spray in a minute. All we're going to do now is just loosen off the pads, and then we'll look to pull the pins out and then remove the pads. I don't actually need to pull them back too much. We're going to bleed through anyway, so the most important bit is getting the fluid out. I'm going to damage the pads. But there's plenty of life on those pads anyway, so not overly concerned by them. The main thing is just to is the fluid. Does the pads look fine? I'll take them out anyway. Because if you are changing the pads, obviously, same process. All the pins and that clean up. So as you can see, there's plenty of life on the pads. No need to change them. Get more. I'll leave them where they are. These pins are tiny, I don't know if you can even see them. Really small little pins. They just lock. Put the bigger pins in place. Have to check the manual and see how often you should change these pins as well, but there you go. If that's how you were going to change your pads, it's really that easy. Obviously, the hardest bit is getting the pistons to go all the way back in, but they didn't look far off new pads, and I think they put new pads on this just before I picked it up anyway, so fairly simple process. I'd like to think if they put new pads on, they would have put new fluid through the system, but it doesn't look that way. So, probably easier. So at the top then, you got the brake reservoir, and this has got 2 Torx in there. We're just going to remove that. I don't know if you can work that out on the camera, but that is pretty minging. What I do is use one of these and draw as much of that crap out as we can. Like the largest expenses in my workshop is blue roll and black brake cleaner. Get through so much of this stuff. Okay, so all we're going to do is pump it through this right side. Once we've done the right side, we'll flip over, we'll do the left side, and then we have to come back at the top. And there's a little bleed nipple here on the actual master cylinder itself, so we'll do that one last. By then we know that there's just fresh liquid through most of the system, it's just this tiny bit here, and we shouldn't, hopefully, have any air bubbles. Okay, so all we're going to do is give the lever a couple of pumps, hold the lever down, release the pressure, and let the fluid come through. To be honest, it shouldn't take a lot to get this new fluid through, but I've got plenty of brake fluid, so I'm not overly concerned about. Not giving it its max. Still not happy about that brass plate, but I'll have a look at that when I have a look at the other side. So I'm fairly content there. I did a couple just before, just to make sure. Sort of pulled half the master cylinder through, and certainly clearer up here now than what it was. Yeah, a little bit more. And then it's just a case of keep going until you're content that you've got all the dirty brake fluid out. Obviously, dirty brake fluid isn't working as effective. It's clean brake fluid. That one seems to be clean running out of there now. Right. And now we just repeat on the other side.